heaven and hell. The rich and the poor in heaven. 364. The poor come into heaven not on account of their poverty but because of their life. Everyone's life follows him, whether he be rich or poor. There is no peculiar mercy for one in preference to another. He who has lived well is received, while he who has not lived well is rejected. Moreover, poverty leads and draws man away from heaven just as much as wealth does. There are many among the poor who are not content with their lot, who strive after many things, and believe riches to be blessings, and when they do not gain them are much provoked, and harbor ill thoughts about the divine providence. They also envy others the good things they possess, and are as ready as anyone to defraud others whenever they have opportunity, and to indulge in filthy pleasures. But this is not true of the poor who are content with their lot, and are careful and diligent in their work, who love labor better than idleness, and act sincerely and faithfully, and at the same time live the Christian life. I have sometimes talked with those belonging to the peasantry and common people, who, while living in the world, believed in God and did what was just and right in their occupations. Since they had an affection for knowing truth, they inquired about charity and about faith, having heard in this world much about faith and in the other life much about charity. They were therefore told that charity is everything that pertains to life, and faith everything that pertains to doctrine. Consequently, charity is willing and doing what is just and right in every work, and faith is thinking justly and rightly, and faith and charity are conjoined, the same as doctrine, and a life in accordance with it, or the same as thought and will, and faith becomes charity when that which a man thinks justly and rightly he also wills and does, and then they are not but one. This they well understood, and rejoiced, saying that in the world they did not understand believing to be anything else but living. There can be no immediate mercy, but only mediate mercy, that is, to those who live in accordance with the commandments of the Lord. Such the Lord by his mercy leads continually in the world, and afterwards to eternity. Dignities and riches are not real blessings, therefore they are granted both to the wicked and to the good. The real blessing is reception of law and faith from the Lord, and conjunction thereby, for this is the source of eternal happiness. 365. From this it can be established that the rich and the poor alike come into heaven, the one as easily as the other. The belief that the poor enter heaven easily and the rich with difficulty comes from not understanding the word where the rich and the poor are mentioned. In the word, those who have an abundance of cognitions of good and truth, thus who are within the church where the word is, are meant in the spiritual sense by the rich, while those who lack these cognitions, and yet desire them, thus who are outside the church and where there is no word, are meant by the poor. To the rich man clothed in purple and fine linen, and cast into hell, means the Jewish nation, which is called rich because it had the word and had an abundance of cognitions of good and truth therefrom. garments of purple signifying cognitions of good, and garments of fine linen, cognitions of truth. But the poor man who lay at the rich man's entrance hall and longed to be filled with the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table, and who was carried by angels into heaven, means the nations that have no cognitions of good and truth and yet desire them. Luke XVI 19-31. By the rich who were called to a great supper and excused themselves is meant the Jewish nation, and by the poor brought in their place are meant the nations outside the church. Luke 14:16-24. 3. What is meant by the rich of whom the Lord said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the needle's eye than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God." Matt 19:24. Will also be told, by the rich there are meant the rich in both a natural sense and a spiritual sense. In the natural sense, the rich are those who have an abundance of riches and set their heart upon them. But in the spiritual sense they are those who have an abundance of cognitions and knowledges, which are spiritual riches, and who desire by means of these to introduce themselves into the things of heaven and the church from their own intelligence. And because this is contrary to divine order, it is said to be easier for a camel to go through the needle's eye, a camel signifying the faculty of learning and knowing in a general way, and a needle's eye signifying spiritual truth. That such is the meaning of a camel and a needle's eye is not at present known, because the knowledge that teaches what is signified in the spiritual sense by the things said in the literal sense of the word has not up to this time been disclosed. In the single things of the word there is a spiritual sense and also a natural sense. For immediate conjunction having ceased, the word has been written by pure correspondences of natural things with spiritual things in order that there might be conjunction of heaven with the world, that is, a conjunction of angels with men. This makes clear who in particular are meant in the word by the rich man. For that the rich in the word mean in the spiritual sense those who are in cognitions of truth and good, and riches the cognitions themselves, which are spiritual riches, can be confirmed from various passages as in Isaiah 10:12, 14, 30, 6, 7, 45:3, 17:3, 48, 7, 50, 36, 37, 51 minutes and 13 seconds. Dan 5:24, Visa. 26:7, 12, 27:1 to the end. Zeph. 9, 3, 4, Psalm 45, 12, Hosea 12, 8, Red. 3:7, 8, Luke 14:33, and elsewhere. Also that the poor in the spiritual sense signify those who do not have cognitions of good and of truth, and yet desire them. Matt. 11, 5, Luke 6, 20, 21, 14, 21, Isaiah 14, 30, 29 minutes and 19 seconds, 41, 17, 18, Zeph. 3, 12, 13, All these passages may be seen explained in accordance with the spiritual sense in Arcana Caelestian 10227. Garments signify truths, thus cognitions. Purple signifies celestial good. Fine linen signifies truth from a celestial origin. Camel signifies in the word the knowing faculty and knowledge in general. What is meant by needlework? Working with a needle and therefore by a needle. To enter from knowledge into the truths of faith is contrary to divine order. Those who do this become demented as to the things of heaven and the church, and in the other life. When they think about spiritual things they become as it were drunken. Further about such examples showing that when spiritual things are entered into through knowledges they cannot be comprehended. It is permissible to enter from spiritual truth into knowledges which pertain to the natural man, but not the reverse, because there can be spiritual influx into the natural, but not natural influx into the spiritual. The truths of the Word and of the Church must first be acknowledged, after which it is permissible to consider knowledges. Next, I will read Marriages in Heaven. 1. If you have information about heaven, please click on subscribe and like. Thank you.